Hello, everyone. My name is Alyssa Yu. I'm a physiotherapist at the Ottawa Heart Institute. Thank you for joining us in today's session of the Cardiac Rehab Virtual Group Education Series. This presentation series is meant to help you learn basically how to handle heart failure and how to live well with heart failure. In today's session, we'll go over the activity guidelines for heart failure and talk about energy conservation. So today, all the information that we'll be reviewing can be found in your heart failure booklet from pages 10 to 12 and in your cardiac rehabilitation handout. This guide was likely given to you by your mentor or case manager when you got started with the program. So today, I'll start by explaining the difference between physical activity and exercise, and also talk about the various types of exercise. I will also cover activity guidelines for heart failure, including the importance of a proper warm-up and cool-down. Additionally, I'll spend some time reviewing how to determine if you're exercising at the right level. The remainder of this video will cover helpful tips and energy conservation. So first, we're going to talk about heart failure. Heart failure is when the heart is not able to pump a lot of blood into the body, and that lowers its ability to adequately deliver oxygen-rich blood to the muscles. So your muscles aren't getting the oxygen that it actually needs to properly function. This can also change the type of muscle fibers in your body by decreasing the number of fibers for endurance. So the things you need to walk or run or do your activities for a longer period of time. The good news is exercise helps the body to get better at using oxygen. So a muscle that exercises regularly can use less oxygen to do a job than one that hasn't exercised. And before we move on, let me define some key terms. Physical fitness is the ability to have enough energy to do all the things you want and need to do. And physical activity means the activities that burn more calories than sitting still. Physical activity is good for heart health, but it's different from exercise. So when we talk about exercise, we're talking about something that's planned, structured, and usually involves repetitive movements. And this helps to improve different parts of your physical fitness. And those are your cardiovascular or heart endurance, and that's helped most by aerobic exercise, which we'll cover later in this session. Your flexibility can be improved through stretching. Your muscle strength can be improved through resistance exercise, and your balance can be improved through specific exercises that are designed for that particular skill. All different types of exercises are important, which is why our exercise classes include each one. And since they're also important for your overall exercise program and your overall health. However, for heart health, we encourage you to focus a little bit more on aerobic exercise first. Here, I will highlight some of the main benefits of exercise. And I also want you to think about your own personal reasons that might help you to exercise on a long-term basis. Regular exercise can help you to feel better, to gain more energy, and that helps you do more of what you enjoy. It also helps you to have less difficulty with your daily activities. It reduces stress and anxiety. It can help you sleep better at night, and it can help you feel more confident and in control of your life. When we talk about exercise, we often imagine spending hours in the gym, but exercise does not have to be strenuous to be valuable. Walking is one of the best kinds of exercise for improving your health. We recommend starting slow. Begin with short periods of time and at a slow walking pace. And from there, you can gradually increase the length of time you're walking. Make sure you do this, so increase the length of time, before you increase the intensity of your exercise. So speaking of walking, let's talk about aerobic exercise. Aerobic activities challenge the heart, the lungs, and the muscles, all at the same time. This is usually a kind of exercise that includes repetitive movements for longer periods of time. Ideally, aerobic exercise should be done 3 to 5 days per week, and the end goal is to reach about 20 to 30 minutes per day for a total of 60 to 180 minutes per week. If you're just starting out, you can start with much less than what I just suggested. You can follow some of the options presented today with the goal of accumulating 20 minutes or so in several sessions throughout the day. So it doesn't have to be all at once. We can break it up into little bits. The most important thing is to find the amount of exercise that you can do regularly, and then again, increase the time, being the duration, before increasing the intensity. As I mentioned, walking is a great choice for many people. No equipment is needed, no special skills required, and it's very low risk for injury. Other forms of aerobic exercise, other than walking, can include cycling, so this can be on a bicycle or a stationary bike, swimming, or spending time on an elliptical machine. When we talk about intensity, most participants should be aiming for a light to moderate intensity, so you can still have a conversation. We don't want you to get too short of breath. If you're new to exercise, this is an example of what you can start with as a walking program. Your goal is to gradually work up to 20 to 30 minutes in your sessions, walking daily. Remember to start and finish your session with slower walking speed, and this acts as your warm-up and your cool-down. We recommend starting at about 5 minutes of walking and gradually increase up to 10 minutes within the first 2 weeks. So over the first 2 weeks, you go from 5 and gradually build to 10 minutes. Then you go up by 5 minutes every 2 weeks thereafter until you get to 20 to 30 minutes comfortably. And this is usually by week 7 or 8. Now, if you're unable to walk 5 minutes without stopping, then you could benefit from interval training. So for example, you could begin walking for 2 minutes and then rest for 1 minute. And then you can repeat this pattern of walking between, say, 2 to 5 minutes and resting between 2 to 5 minutes as many times as you're able to. You gradually increase the number of intervals as you go along and decrease the amount of rest that you take until you reach the total goal of 20 to 30 minutes in total of walking, still following the interval pattern. It's important to include a warm-up and cool-down period around your exercise training session. Warming up includes a light exercise, ideally lighter than what you plan to do for your regular level of exercise. If you're walking, do light walking. If you're swimming, do light swimming. If you're following the suggested regular exercise program, so the first option, ideally your warm-up will be about 5 to 10 minutes long. And warming up is important as it helps you to slowly increase your heart rate to an aerobic level of exercise, so to the point that you want it to be at, to prepare your heart and muscles for exercise, to reduce the symptoms that you might have when you exercise, to decrease the chance of irregular heartbeats, and to help prevent injury. Cooling down should be a similar type of exercise to your warm-up, and it should also be for about 5 to 10 minutes, again, if we're going with option 1. Or if you would prefer, you can go until your breathing pattern has returned to normal. This is also an ideal time to do some light stretching. A cool down can help you to gradually slow down your body's systems, especially your heart rate and your blood pressure. It can help lower the likelihood of symptoms and irregular heartbeats. And it can also help to prevent injuries, very similar to the warm-up. Exercising at the right level is important. And that means that you're exercising at a level where you're getting the most benefit from the exercise you're doing while remaining safe. It's important to listen to your body. There are several ways to determine the intensity of your activity and make sure that it's safe. These include using the rating of perceived exertion scale and the walk and talk test. You also want to make sure that you avoid symptoms, and these we'll talk about in a minute. The rating of perceived exertion, or RPE scale, helps to give you a rating of how hard the exercise feels to you. Choose a number that represents your overall level of effort and fatigue during your exercise session. So not just one thing, but everything you're feeling together. For your particular heart condition, we recommend staying between the levels of 11 and 14. So again, light and maybe a little bit more than somewhat hard. The walk and talk test is a simple way to measure your exercise intensity. When you're doing activity, you'll most likely be breathing faster than when you're at rest. For the right intensity, you should be able to carry on a light conversation while you're exercising. But if you can sing, we suggest increasing your pace. And if you're huffing and puffing, then it's probably a good idea to slow down, as you're likely working a little bit too hard. Be mindful of your surroundings too. If you're walking up a hill, this will change the intensity and make your exercise harder. So in that case, it's a good idea to slow down. Another tool you can use is your spotlight tool, and this should have been provided to you as well. When you're referring to your spotlight tool, we ask that you not exercise when you're in the red zone and be mindful when you're in the yellow zone. Air quality is also important to consider when exercising. People with heart disease are more likely to experience negative health effects from air pollution. Short-term exposure, so that's hours to days, can trigger or make symptoms worse. The Air Quality Health Index, or AQHI, is a color-coded scale from 1 to 10, and it's designed to help you understand what the air quality around you means to your health. And this helps protect you from the health effects of air pollution. When the AQHI is elevated, some people with heart, lung, or other chronic conditions may have more symptoms than they usually experience when exercising outdoors. To avoid this, consider moving your exercise indoors or lowering the intensity or time of your exercise session. Here is an example of the Air Quality Health Index. A low risk level, being 1 to 3, means that you can enjoy your usual outdoor activities. As the numbers increase, consider reducing or rescheduling your activities and pay attention to your symptoms. High risk levels above 10 or 10 plus are cause to avoid strenuous activities until it's safe to go outside again. Here are some helpful tips for starting your exercise program. Consider first the terrain. Try to walk on flat ground, and if you have to walk uphill, walk more slowly and rest partway up. When eating, it is best to wait an hour after a meal to allow yourself time to digest. Avoid exercising in extreme temperatures, so going out in the winter when it's very cold and windy, or in the summer where it's very hot and humid. For equipment, you can use a stationary bicycle without tension to start, a treadmill that is flat and not on an incline, or you can walk in the hallway of your house or in a mall, wherever you find is open for you. If you're feeling well enough, you can even exercise twice per day. Remember to gradually increase the length of time before increasing the level of intensity of your exercise. Avoid exercises that require you to lift weights above the level of your heart, hold your breath, or bear down. So we recommend no more than 5 pounds. When exercising, make sure to pay attention to your symptoms. If you feel unwell, shorten your activity time. You should be back to your pre-walk or resting rate within about 10 minutes of completing your exercise. If not, the next time you exercise, reduce the time or intensity. Always listen to what your body is telling you. Any of the following symptoms are warning signs that you're exercising too hard. Being unable to exercise and talk at the same time, prolonged fatigue 30 to 60 minutes after exercise, continuous muscle or joint soreness, lightheadedness, nausea, pounding in your head, feeling faint or weak. And if you're feeling any of these, slow down and try and give your body time to adapt. It's very important that you stop exercising if you become excessively short of breath, if you're feeling weak, tired, lightheaded, or dizzy, if you have any discomfort, especially chest discomfort, if you feel your heart racing or pounding, or if you have nausea or excessive sweating. And if these symptoms persist, call 911. Any exercise is important for your well-being. If you haven't done any exercise yet and are needing specific guidance, your mentor will provide you with an individualized recommendation for each section. Choose a type of activity that you enjoy. Invite a friend to join you for a walk. Schedule exercise into your day, and keep an exercise journal to track your progress. These are all great ways to help motivate you to exercise more often. I also want to point out that beyond structured exercise, we also encourage that you avoid sitting for long periods of time and find ways to move more. Strategies to do this may include setting reminders to move around for 2 minutes every 30 minutes or so. Now, the last thing I want to go over with you are techniques for energy conservation. We call them the 4 Ps. The first P is for prioritize. So this means prioritize your day by choosing which daily activities are the most important, being the ones that you can do. Consider which tasks can be delegated to someone else or taken out from your schedule entirely for the day. Learn to recognize your own personal limits. The second P is for plan. Space out your activities in the day and use a weekly schedule. Try to alternate easy activities with ones that may be more difficult. Also, try to carry out activities that need the most energy at the time of day when you're feeling your best. It's a lot harder to do activities that you want to do when you're feeling very tired. Different strategies you could use here include choosing lighter weight pots and pans for cooking, for example, or preparing a bigger meal and freeze some for another day. You can also organize your time so that you take fewer trips up and down the stairs. The third P is for pace. Try to pace yourself throughout the day by breaking down hard jobs into smaller tasks and taking regular breaks. Learn to anticipate when you get tired and try to rest before then. And lastly, there's position. If you sit to perform a task, you actually use 25% less energy than when you're standing. Try to avoid unnecessary bending or overhead reaching. Equipment like rollator walkers or four-wheel walkers can help with your balance and your energy conservation. And it also helps you to go further when walking and helps you to get stronger because you're walking further. Shower chairs, reachers, and long handle shoe horns are also helpful tools that can help you save energy. Overall, your day should be a good balance of rest and activity. Some people find they can do more if they rest for about 1 hour per day. This can be napping or simply quiet time. Consider it as catch-up time for your heart. Daytime sleeping, however, should be limited to 1 hour, so it doesn't affect your ability to sleep at night. It's very important to get a good night's sleep. If you're undergoing times of emotional stress or illness, however, you may need a little more time to rest. To summarize, walking is one of the best exercises you can do to improve your health. Remember to gradually increase the length of time that you walk before the intensity. Try to build up to 20 to 30 minutes daily for best results, and really any little bit helps. Make sure to listen to your body. Use the walk and talk test or the RPE scale and follow your spotlight tool. And lastly, use energy conservation strategies so that you can do more of what you enjoy. Now, your contact person or mentor can help you to individualize your program and answer any questions that have not been addressed in these group formats. This is likely the person you met at your intake appointment when you first joined cardiac rehab. You can expect to have follow-up contacts with them throughout your time with our program, and you can contact them anytime if you have any questions.